Hello and welcome back to my world of stuff. Right, before I get into my review of M3GAN, just a quick explanation about where I've been and what's been happening to the channel the last couple of weeks. I'm very conscious of the fact that the last video I put up was about 2 weeks ago. It was my Films of the Year 2022 retrospective. And it wasn't that I haven't intended to put more content online. I just, haven't necessarily been in the mood. It was the end of the year, the festive period, and I was just chilling a little bit. Plus, I was getting over the last of my bronchitis stroke chest infection, which has taken a long time to completely shift. Even now, I still have little sessions of sort of hacking cough now and again, but I'm certainly a lot better, and I would say 95% better. Just that last little bit of the cough is still there. Plus, there's been other issues. Normally, as you know, I film here in the cinema room stroke garage, which is where I am now. We've had a lot of rain. God, we've had a lot of rain over the last few weeks, and it has disclosed a few problems in the roof in terms of a leak and so on. So as the room hasn't, I wouldn't say it's not been fit for filming. I've been keeping indoors really because the weather's been so bad, cold and wet and miserable. I just haven't come up here. But I am having some work done on the cinema room to toughen it up if we can have winters like this. Basically there was a few leaks coming in a little bit and a little bit of mould. So I just need to address that and get that sorted. I didn't have that last year with the winter, but it was the first winter after the work had been done, and I think it was probably quite sturdy and solid then. It's only now, since we've had a bad weather the last few weeks, that a few little leaks have started to appear. So that's all being addressed, and I will be able to film again in here quite safely. I mean, I'm here now. It's a nice bright day today. It's a bit drier, so I'm coming up to sort of dry things out. And anyway, so that's the position why there's been nothing. There's just been a bit of a natural gap. And plus, it did cross my mind over Christmas again about closing down the channel because the views are very sporadic. I mean, the last 3 videos I put up have struggled to get 100 views between them. It's not a problem if the content, people don't want to watch the content or it doesn't appeal to people. That's how it goes. And yet, oddly enough, I've had a few new subscribers, so people are obviously looking back over previous content and thinking that there may be stuff worth sticking around for. So hopefully there will be, and hopefully you will stick around, because I am planning to keep things going for a while. So that's what's been happening. That's why I've not been here doing anything. And I've watched quite a few films, so I am planning to do a film catch-up video of some films I've watched on streaming and physical media. Going to do a TV review of a series I watched last weekend, and this film review I'm doing now. Also, I am more fully embracing the world of social media. There is now a Facebook page for this channel. Paul's World of Stuff has a Facebook page. It's a cannibalized Facebook page for another project that I started with a friend of mine a few years ago, which is now fizzled out. So if you want to have a look at the Facebook page, please join up. I'll be putting a few comments on there, hopefully getting a bit of sort of debate about films and TV and stuff going, if there's enough interest. So go over to Facebook, check out Paul's World of Stuff, and join in, leave a comment. Also, of course, if you found this channel now and you think it seems quite interesting, apart from all this rambling, why not press the subscribe button and the like button and leave a comment. That would be absolutely magnificent as we move into 2023. Right, back to M3GAN. Right, M3GAN is the first new genre film of 2023. It's my first cinema visit of 2023, and this has had very, very good reviews pretty much everywhere, and it's gone down a storm in America. It was released last weekend in America and absolutely surpassed box office expectations by taking something like 40 million in its first weekend on a budget of about $7 million. It's another in the Blumhouse production line of horror films. Blumhouse have really cornered the market lately in making effective low-budget horror films which turn a massive profit. I'm thinking of things like Invisible Man a couple of years ago with Elizabeth Moss. That was a huge hit on a small budget. And similarly, this is another massively profitable film, which will undoubtedly become a franchise. Horror does seem to have a reputation of being quite low cost, high profit, as opposed to, say, science fiction, where you've got to pay the money to get the big bucks on screen, the big effects on screen. Horror can get away with fairly unknown casts and quite high concepts, and that's exactly what we get with M3GAN. The cast, there's only one name in the cast that I know, and that's only through looking on Wikipedia and IMDb to see that she's got a bit of a little history in genre filmmaking. It's another solid hit for Blumhouse. Now, it's a killer doll film, but it's a little bit more than that. We've had lots of killer doll films over the years. We've got Chucky, of course, we've got Annabelle, we've got those terrible Robert films which have come out. And there's been quite a lot of that sort of thing. Dolls that are supernatural, have some sort of something power possessing them. This modernises things a little bit because it takes, quite cleverly, the idea of artificial intelligence, robots, and creates a malevolent doll creature from artificial intelligence. The titular M3GAN is a new robot that's been created by a scientist named Gemma, who works for a big company who are really desperate to steal the march on their competitors by finding the latest new toy technology in an age of computer technology where kids want all the latest high-tech gizmos, and it's constantly striving for the next innovation, the next money-making innovation. Her life is turned upside down with the arrival of her niece Katie. I thought it was Katie, but it's actually Katie. Katie is with her parents going on a ski holiday in outside Oregon when they're caught in a terrible snowstorm and there's a car accident and Katie's parents are killed. Katie, you'll know pretty much where it's going, what's going to happen, because we've seen these sort of films before. The twist here is, of course, that this is a living thing, an intelligence within itself that's learning and adapting and protecting itself and protecting Katie, so it thinks. And it goes down a fairly predictable route of slowly people realise that this thing is actually something a little bit more than it was supposed to be. And the killing starts, should we say. It starts fairly innocently with M3GAN trying to protect Katie, and then it starts turning nasty. And it's a blast. It's a great film. I had a great time with this. It's 102 minutes, so it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's really engrossing and immersive, very well made. It was directed by Gerald Johnson. I don't know his work, I don't know what he's done before, but he's really nailed what makes this sort of film work. It's very slick. It has a sort of clinical feel to it. It's not supernatural because we know that this is a machine that's learning and adapting, and it's got that sort of vibe of that we've had in things like Terminator, that sort of fear of the machines taking over. An engrossing story, very well told, with some good effect sequences. The animation for M3GAN is very impressive. I haven't looked into too much detail into how it's done. I know there was some CGI involved, but obviously there's a young actress in there to an extent, and there's been some bits and pieces done to make the creature more expressive. But it is very, very good. I mean, it does the thing that so many of these films do. There's something, we're shown something at the beginning of the film that you think, right, that's going to have something to do with the end of the film. I'm sure, and if it does, I won't say what it is here, but I think you'll probably spot that particular Chekhov's gun. But otherwise, this is just a really good, unpretentious sci-fi horror film. Done very well. It's very tense. The acting is very good. Alison Williams, as I say, is the star. She's best known, I think, for her role in Get Out, the Jordan Peele film a few years ago, which you may know I don't rate very highly because I'm not a big fan of Jordan Peele's films. But this is very good. It's very well structured. Blood and killing. There's one very good sequence in the woods where M3GAN offs one of her potential enemies, but otherwise the killings are more sort of, you imagine what's happened rather than seeing things, and that sometimes works well, but I think this could have gone up a little bit notch. We could have seen a little bit more, so I think it's sort of tame in that regard, but that was probably so we could get a more family-friendly or user-friendly rating in America. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that films have to be filled with lashings of gore and buckets of blood, but when we've got a film about a creature on the rampage, you want to see a bit more of the physical damage it can do. But that's just a minor complaint. It's just a really good film. I had a really good time with it. I went in and it does what good films should do. It makes you shut out the real world and forget the real world and just think, right, well, I'm going to get into the story, and it does that really well. I was thoroughly engrossed by it. The time flew by. Great performances, as I said, really good effects, very well directed, and I can't really fault it. I mean, it's not a 10 out of 10 film because it's, I suppose it is generic in that we've seen this sort of story before, but this does give it this new edge by having this sort of AI, robot element to it that makes it a bit more grounded than your Chuckies and your Annabelles and so on. Obviously, it's been a huge hit, so it's launched a new franchise. I understand that studios are busily putting together a sequel or working towards a sequel, and it's obviously going to become a franchise. I hope we don't get the law of diminishing returns. I don't want to be here in 5 years' time, God willing, reviewing M3GAN in space or M3GAN versus Chucky. I hope it can keep some semblance of its own identity to it, but of course that's for the Hollywood money men to decide where they want to go with it. But I had a good time with this. It's a good start to the film schedule of the year, and it's nice to see a low budget film doing very, very well. There's been lots of issues lately about big budget films that are underperforming, things like Black Adam. Even some of the Marvel films are sort of not doing quite as well as expected. So it's nice to see that Hollywood can still make a film on a small budget and turn a good profit. And that's obviously what everybody wants at the end of the day. So that's M3GAN. Anyway, it's in cinemas now. I really enjoyed it. I recommend you go and see it. It's not even, I'm not even going to say it's not for the faint-hearted, because it's not. There's nothing, cringy about it. There's nothing in terms of visual things that will isn't of a nervous disposition. It's done quite discreetly and subtly, and I think you'll have a good time with it. That's M3GAN in cinemas now. I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. So it's pretty nearly a perfect score. 9 out of 10 for M3GAN in cinemas now. Right, thank you very much. Welcome back. It's nice to be recording again. The next video up, I'm hoping, is going to be a review of Prime Video's The Rig, which dropped last week, which I've watched all of, and like I say, a film catch-up of some films I watched up over the early part of the new year. I won't say what they are at this stage, but that should be coming up in the next few days. So there we are. Thank you again. As I say, if you're new, stick around, subscribe and like. Please watch the video to the end if you could. Apparently that's very good for analytics. I don't really look at analytics too much. I'm not that bothered about that sort of thing, but I do notice that most people seem to bail out after a few minutes. So I'm going to try to keep the videos to sort of 10-15 minutes long where possible. Right, I'm out of here. See you soon. Till I do, keep taking the stuff.